Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. John and Risotto here. Holy cow, I can't believe it. Amanda Raye is in the house. Do you have any idea how many years I've been trying to get Amanda Raye on the show? We've been chatting. She's just so fantastic. I'm really, really excited to have her on the show, and I'm excited for all y'all to be here as well. I'm in Nashville, so I gotta say y'all, right? Want to thank you all for being here. This is going to be a great show. A lot of conversations about music and life and the challenges that it all brings, family, friends, pain, love. All of it is going to be spoken about this evening here on the show. I'm very excited. So you know how I go, right? I talk too much, so I'm actually going to stop. I'm going to bring on Amanda Raye. Amanda is a Nashville-based singer-songwriter whose music blends soul, country, and jazz into a unique, expressive sound. Originally from St. Louis, Amanda moved to Music City in 2013 to pursue a career in music and has done great with her emotionally rich vocals and genre crossing style. Her latest single, Don't Make Me Make You a Liar, can be heard now where music can be heard. And now, please welcome to the show, Amanda Raye. Woo!
What a
Hello.
thank you.
Yes, yes. Wow. It feels like we've known each other for a while, but I think it hasn't been. I mean, it's been maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe
I'd say around 2 years.
around
Yeah,
2 years.
going on two.
Yeah, so I'll tell you my quick story. Just going from place to place here in Nashville. I just arrived here, and I saw Amanda Raye. I heard her songs and her voice, and I was just like, "Who is this?" I was like, "This is unbelievable." I love the combination. This is why I put it in my opening. You know, where you have this cross genre, where you have this countries, a soul, and then there's this jazz element that's underneath everything. And I want to definitely dive into that because it's such an amazing sound. But that's where it was. I said, okay, she's performing somewhere, and I went and I got to meet you, and we got to chat a little bit, and then we kept chatting, and it's been just a great opportunity for me to get to know you, to hear your music, and to see you expanding in your music. And so, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to being on the show. I'm really honored that you're here.
It's about time. It's about time. I'm
Yes,
really glad that you stuck with it and you stayed persistent with me. And I'm happy to be here. Overjoyed, really, really am.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, you're originally from St. Louis, as I mentioned, and you made your way to Nashville. I mean, Music City, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I actually got married at 18 and I moved to Clarksville, Tennessee. I was a military wife, and so I spent the first formative years of my adult life in Clarksville, 7 years actually. And the funny thing is, in those 7 years, I visited Nashville, but I wasn't even thinking music. I was thinking
interesting.
wife, mom, military, and but it seems like I've been inching towards Nashville for most of my life, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And 18, wow, that's very young to be, to be
Well,
settling down, so to speak.
one of my favorite words that some people use to describe me would be tenacious. And I will say that absolutely is me. Uh,
Yeah,
like it or not, there are times when perhaps that I might make some decisions that weren't necessarily well thought out, but that's okay because I love where I've landed. I love that I'm a mom. It's my favorite thing about me. And I love that I've got so much experience under my belt at this point in my life. So never looking back. Don't go back.
that's right, that's so important too, and, sometimes these decisions that we make in our lives, they shape us, and you look back and you say, "Well, maybe I shouldn't have done that," but, maybe the fact that I did do that thing gave me the foundation to take on the next thing, so we can't always second guess. I mean, there's bad decisions, I mean, like, really obviously bad decisions. And then there's just choices,
Yeah.
that you make and you felt good at the time.
And And I'd say too, like I could look back in so many times. Everybody does that. But I think that having children, I have literally almost an 18-year-old. She will be 18 on June 16th. I cannot believe it. I am still not okay with it, but but
Wow.
the thing is my children ground me. They keep me very grounded and stable. And that's one of the, I'd say one of the benefits of having children and being a musician is like there's a responsibility. I can't just go hog wild. I make good choices now because I have people depending on me. So again,
Yeah.
you can't look back. You have to go forward. And I'm so glad and happy to be doing what I'm doing here and with two beautiful daughters that I'm just so proud of.
That's great. Yeah, being a parent is just the greatest. And when you're an artist, it kind of brings a whole new element of what that art means to you and the world, because you have this other perspective now that's incredible. Your music, I want to kind of dive into your music a little bit, and then we're going to go back. We'll go back and forth. We'll do a
Sure.
nonlinear kind of a storytelling here, but um, the thing about your music, and tell me a little bit about your influences because they seem here's the thing, your music seems like it's your music. It seems like it's your music. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it's jazz, it doesn't seem like it's country, it doesn't seem like it's soul or pop. It seems like it's your music, but there's elements of all these in the music itself. And so growing up, was that something you were just had like a diverse interest in music?
Well, what's funny to me is one, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and so Missouri is they like to call it the gateway to the Midwest, right? And I grew up learning in school. I'll never forget this. We were a melting pot. We
Mm,
had influences from all over the country that landed in St. Louis, Missouri, and so I kind of tend to think of my music like that. Like I am just part of that melting pot. And what I love about what I do is I do love country music. I love pop music. Pop is my favorite. I love soul. I'd say soulfully, it's more so in my vocals than truly like in
mhm.
my music. Which I mean, what's the difference? But the funny thing is, I was raised on all that type of music. Like in the '90s, when it was grunge, my parents went to country, so that's where country came in. Shania Twain,
Mm,
Garth Brooks, Dwight Yoakam, all these amazing artists that we were not listening to before that. Before that, it was pop music. It was Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown. I was listening to New Kids on the Block. I was, that kind of stuff. Like it was
sure.
always pop, whatever era we were in until '90s grunge. My parents were not about it, so
Right.
that's got country. I got countrified. But what's very interesting is that my grandmother was a singer, actually, back in the day.
Oh,
She had 11 children. She was
wow.
Catholic, Italian Catholic. They just kept popping them out for about 15 years of her life. And then towards the end of that, grandma joined a band. She actually had a band called Rose and the Gents. And it's where I got my rose tattoo, and it's where I got my daughter's name, Rosie, Rosalind. And it's where I get my jazz influence. And what's funny is I didn't know how much of that influenced me until I started writing and I started singing. And I would hear these songs that I remembered for some reason. I didn't know why. My dad didn't
Mm,
like jazz. And then I remembered grandma would sing them to us. She would just sing
mm,
all these jazz standards, Someone to Watch Over Me. I mean, just so many. I can't even name them all
right.
at the moment, but I have found an affinity for it, and also a connection to my grandmother. I mean, I'm one of, I don't even know at this point how many people are in my family, but like I'm one grandkid out of like 70 or 80 at this point. And so
Okay.
yeah, that's a
Yeah, that
lot.
would make sense. Yeah.
So I always kind of felt like I didn't really fit in, but then I got this connection to my grandma, and I do what she did, and I'm proud to carry that on and through my children. My girls actually both sing also. But,
Wow.
but back to my music. So you're right. All these influences come from my childhood, come from um, what makes me feel. I love music that makes me feel something, and that's what I want to
Mhm.
do with my music.
Yeah. I love that. And just digressing a little bit to your grandma, my grandparents, I was raised mainly by my grandparents. So I do remember how my great grandma came over one day and she called me. I must have been like 5 years old or something, and she called me over to where the rocking chair she was sitting, and she asked for my hand, and she looked at my hand and she said, "You're going to be a musician." When I was about 5, she said, "You're going to be a guitar player." She said specifically in Spanish, she said, Va a tocar la guitarra." You know,
Wow.
and I just remember that, and my grandfather, I guess it stuck with him. And when I was 9, he bought me a guitar. But it's those moments that we all remember that just light a fire in us that we just it's so important. I think this is why also it's so great that you're instilling into your children music, because that's really where life is, in my opinion. Music to me is everything.
Me too.
And I love film as well, but film without music is, it's a photo really.
Yeah.
um
I agree.
so I love that story. Tell me a little bit about, now we talked about the music and some of the influences. When you got to Nashville, how was that transition, because you're kind of coming into
I
country land?
was I was very unsure of where I would land, and how what I did would fit or not. And so when I got here, I really spent about a year uh, figuring out what Nashville was about and going to different places and meeting different people. I had a couple of resources and or people that were kind of welcoming me in. And so I just took my time to really get familiar with the city and the music and the people. And I realized quickly that there were these like different pods of music. So there's the jazz scene, there's the bluegrass scene, there's country, there's Broadway,
Mhm.
there's actually a punk rock scene, there was a rock scene. So there's like all these different things. And um, I did what I do and kind of just put my head down and was like, well, these are places that I want to play. I made a list in my head and just kind of just became someone that people knew was friendly. And then I started pitching my music, and I've actually, surprisingly and amazingly, I've been able to play in about 37 different venues in Nashville.
That's
And I'm talking,
amazing.
I've been lucky enough to have some residencies that last over like a year and a half to 2 years, just doing what I do. And I think why it works is because I'm singing country songs, I'm singing jazz songs, I'm singing pop songs, I'm singing all your favorite hits from the 80s
Right.
on and beyond, and so there's a little bit of something for everybody. I think that's why it works. And also, I think too, one time I had this gentleman ask me, I love to sing the song Neon Moon. And he asked me, how is it that every single time you sing that song, it seems like the first time?
Wow.
And I love that question because I've
That's
never
great.
thought about it like that. But I thought about it and I analyzed it, which is what I do. And I really truly embody the emotion of the song every single time.
Yeah.
And that translates to crowds. I've seen it, and I'm just so blessed and so grateful that that's how I operated just naturally. I want people to feel what I feel. And so I'm able to do that while I sing, and it seems to really come across that way. And it's done me really well. So Nashville has been, like I said, I was scared at first, but it worked. It's working out.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so important to have that element naturally, because you know you you go to Broadway and adjust the venues, and someone singing the same song over and over. Sometimes you can almost feel that they're doing it for the 10,000th time. And the fact that you have that already, where you can sing that song where it's like the first time, that's professional. You know what I mean? I mean, that is a professional attitude. I mean, that is what you have to have. And when you look at some of these, Sinatra is like one of
Oh, I love some.
my favorites. And you see him performing these songs that he's performed a million times, but you'll see him perform it, in the 50s, and then you'll see him perform it again in the 70s, and you're getting this same intensity. All those guys back then, the Sinatras and Sammy Davis Jr. and those guys just had such an intensity. So it's great that you're able to really embody the song every
Well,
single time out.
I also think too, like, so, I mean, I've been in Nashville for about 6 years now. And I think that every year, I grow and I learn and I change. And it's almost like every time I sing the song, it is a new me.
Mhm.
And so I think, as we go on, we wrap up all of these life experiences and these things we've experienced and gone through and emotions we've felt, and the same song can be different from any point of view,
Oh,
from a different point of view through the years. And
yeah.
so I think that that also informs, just kind of emotions that come across when you're singing something for the thousandth time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know I will never begrudge a Broadway musician, because the grind is absolutely treacherous, and they do it, and they do it so well. In those years that they spend playing those songs over and over, I just know from experience that they're becoming better musicians every
Mhm.
single time those songs come out. And I love the energy of the city, and that's what they bring to it. And that's again, like, one of my favorite things. I was talking to a pretty seasoned veteran recently, musician wise, and he was talking just kind of about how it's a little played out for him. It's a little, he's kind of over it. And he said to me, he's like, I compliment you on your vigor for this, and the fact that you still enjoy it, and it comes across every time you sing any song that you love what you're doing. And well, it's for me, this city is full of tourists who've never been here, who've never seen and felt that
Right.
energy. And I want to bring them my love for this city, my love for music. It's the opportunity to really give them a once in a lifetime experience. And I love that. I truly cherish that. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people maybe don't anymore, but for me, every time is like the first time. I love that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said this, and it's just a testament to who you are as an artist because yeah, Broadway is uh, a great opportunity. If because these guys are out there, they're performing night after night. And sometimes every night you're doing the same set. The same
They're
songs
saying
over
2 to 3
two to
sets
three.
a day, which is
Right,
4-hour shifts of
right,
with no breaks. Like, these
right.
musicians go from place to place to place, and
Yeah,
it's world class for a reason. And I
yeah.
have such respect for that. I can't even. My hat is off to.
It's so true, and yeah, and this is why people come to Music City and they go to Broadway and they're blown away by the how professional these guys are. They're out there every night honing their craft and getting better, like you said. So it is a good. I always say, you know what, if you want to come to Nashville and you can, and it's also not easy. Like you've managed to actually get these residencies, but I mean this is not easy to get.
No.
Everybody wants these, but you got to be at a certain caliber where you are and where these guys on Broadway are, where they can actually sustain, and keep that going. That's so important. But yeah, I say go out there, and if you can find it,
Do it.
cherish it like you do, and work at it. And then, when you're off, then you work on your material and your original stuff. And I want to jump in there real quickly and talk about your new song, and your new material, because I know you've
Oh,
sent me some things that are, and I told you this. I was like, this is so good. And I had it playing in the background, and my wife heard it and she was like, who's that? And I was like, this is Amanda Ray. New song. Remember I met her, and yeah, I know her, you
ah,
know, and and it really it resonated with her, where I play music here all the time, and she's, walking around and my kids and stuff, but she actually stopped and made a comment. And so that just tells me the music is good, and it's captivating music. So tell me about this writing process and some of these songs that you're putting together.
well, so my writing process is unique because I don't play an instrument. I use my voice to sing melodies, and lyrics come. Sometimes I have a melody, and then I'll grab lyrics immediately. Everything really does come from a feeling. Everything is based off of something I experienced,
Yeah.
and then I just try to, like, get it out. I use it as a form of therapy, really. And I think the songs that I release, you know, my manager said to me one time, you know, you don't put out any crappy songs. I'm like, I'm like, well, it's not because I don't write them, but I pick the songs that I think are going to resonate with other people and perhaps help them grow, help them heal, help them in some way feel less alone. But so that brings me to my current songs. I've had quite a year.
Yeah.
I've had quite a year over the last year and a half, really. And the songs that I'm writing, they just feel like the next level for me. And that's a very exciting place to be. I'm not a writer that sits down and writes every day. I can't do that. I don't find it for me to be authentic. And so I really, really want whatever I'm writing to be very authentic and very much so a part of where I'm at mentally, emotionally at the time. And then I like to put those into words and songs that I kind of let go of those things that I've been through and those experiences when I do that. So it's a very therapeutic process for me. And so these next songs are, I just feel like they're me digging more into my experiences. They're me healing, a lot of
Mhm.
healing happening. Oh, I'm not going to cry, but I felt it in that moment. But it feels really good to be able to be healing and to be feeling more comfortable with myself, more vulnerability. I'm really excited about my song now. I think I'm going to call it "Do It Now" because that's kind of the tag. Do it now. But also my new song, "Still Becoming Me." That song, oh, that gives me chills every time I think about it. But "Don't Make Me Make You a Liar" is my most recent release. I released
Yeah.
it on the 4th, and it's a love song, and I don't write those. So again, there's more coming, more happy, more angst, more all of it, because that's where we thrive as songwriters, like letting
Yeah.
people how I think of music and why I write music is because I'm brave enough to allow my emotions to be seen and felt and
Mhm.
heard. And I know there are people out there that could never fathom doing that and allowing that to be such a public process. And I think, well, I'm pretty strong. And so I can be strong for the people who can't. And I can put it out there and allow myself to be seen fully so that they can process those emotions themselves and hopefully put it into the song and let it go too. That's really the goal for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and there's more layers, it feels like coming off where you're actually able to express, just knowing a little bit about your backstory, on, your life and your journey and the challenges that you had to overcome to get to this point, and then hearing it in the songs, that is the therapy, like you said, that is the that's what makes it continue, and that's what makes it move forward, is the fact that you have the ability to actually take those emotions and take those challenges and take those moments in your past that you struggled through, but overcame, and then put them down on the paper and then put them to melody and then share them with the world. That is such an incredible ability to have that skill, because I think a lot of people have this pain and then unfortunately they've got to live with it and they have therapy, but you have something so special because you can give this to the world to help others that have had those challenges, so I don't want to make you cry, so I'm
No, I was sitting here thinking how I've never really told my story publicly. And I was thinking today would be a good opportunity to do part of that
hmm
because I appear to be on social media just to be this like happy-go-lucky, kind of funny, silly person. Um, but a lot of that comes from trauma. A lot of that comes from survival and
hmm
surviving things that I think a lot of people have had to survive. Um, if I may, I really would like to
Yeah,
talk.
it's one of those things where I'm obviously open to whatever you want to share, and if you're okay with sharing with our audience, I think it'll be an important thing. As I've said always in the past, your story is definitely important. So if you want to share it with us, I would love, and I'm sure our audience would benefit from it as well.
Yeah. So I thought about this moment, but I didn't think about this moment. This is my way of doing this, of course. Because when I'm afraid, I just go and do it anyway. So when I was young, when I was very young, I was about 5 years old. I was molested by a family friend, and that happened over the span of months. I don't have much memory about how long or all of the instances, but I do remember what happened to me. Luckily, it was not as invasive as a lot of people's experiences, thank God. But it did change me. Um, Shortly after that, I began gaining weight as a child. By the time I was 10 years old, I weighed 100 pounds. And my dad took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, if she doesn't stop now, she's going to be 200 pounds by the time she's 20. And I was, in fact, actually. By the time I had my first daughter at 20 years old, I weighed 289 pounds. And I I never understood why or what was happening to me until I actually ended up having gastric bypass at 22. My daughter was 2 years old, and I just looked at her, and I looked around me at all the military wives that surrounded us, and everybody was overweight and children were overweight. And I spent my childhood overweight and being tortured and being bullied. I was made fun of. I was a loner. I did not have many friends. So at 22, I decided, well, I'm going to make a change in my life for my daughter. And so I had gastric bypass, and I lost 145 pounds, which is a lot of weight to lose. I, John, I didn't know what I looked like then. And I didn't I didn't know who I was going to be. I never even thought about it. What I thought was I wanted to just prevent my daughter from being tortured like me.
Mm.
And so in a weird way, after I lost all that weight, I ended up with my it was my we were going to visit my father-in-law. He hadn't seen me in years, and I was a different person. And we ended up having this little like wrestling match where he just would always pick on me. I loved him so dearly. He's just still such a joy, such a wonderful human. I love him very much. But he ended up picking me up during this little wrestling match, and I had a panic attack. And it was the first panic attack I've ever had in my whole life, and the last one actually. And I ran to the kitchen and like played it off, and I had this moment of like a domino, like, oh my God,
Mhm.
this is why. And it was because I couldn't protect myself. And I
Mm.
used eating and weight gain to protect myself from being hurt. And I think a lot of people do that. And it took that many years to have the realization. There was a moment that flashed in my head of my dad showing me pictures when I was like 12, 13, still struggling with weight. And he picks up these pictures of my graduation from kindergarten, and he goes, what happened to this little girl? Like, she was so happy. She was thin. And in that moment, it all clicked. I absolutely know that I gained weight, and I emotionally ate in order to protect myself from being hurt. So all of that said, I've gone through all these surgeries. I've had skin removed. I've lost weight, and I became freed from that. And I think that part of what I was talking about with my message, and being able to be strong enough to share my emotions through music, and luckily enough been put into this body and this form that's appealing now. um, I know it's for a reason. I know I'm supposed to go forward and help other people heal. So
Wow. Um, that is, yeah. I mean, that is so incredible and so powerful. And you're right. This is definitely going to be a tremendous value. I mean, there's so many people out there, women and men, that struggle with this, and I think it's wonderful that you're able to do this. Do you need a minute?
no, I
Okay.
was thinking like even the aftermath, I have extra skin on my body, like reminders. I have stretch marks and things that I see like every time I get ready for work to go sing. Every single gig, I look at my body and I'm reminded. But there's this moment where I'm like, you know what? I love me very much now. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be where I am and who I am, despite my flaws. And, you know, I just want other people to know like it's not easy, but you can do it. You can overcome anything, and you can do it in gracefully, and you still can love yourself. You're so worthy. Like your value, it just has nothing to do with what you look like. um, your value has everything to do with your heart and soul, and the person that you are. I think we put a lot of value, too much value, into our looks, and I combat this every day. I mean, I'll never forget when I was bigger, and we got like a nice camera, and I took some selfies, and I thought, I loved who I was, but I did not like what I looked like. I mean, everyone always said, "You have a cute face. You have a cute face." Well, that's what people say when you're overweight. And so I'll never forget when I finally lost weight. There was a moment when I was looking in the mirror and I was like, I really liked what I looked like, but I didn't like who I was anymore because I was
Mm,
putting so much into this new identity, this new appearance. And I realized too that a lot of people would give me attention that had no care about who I was inside. There was
mm,
zero interest in me. And so I went through a phase of having to kind of reconnect with and like who I was and go back to who I was, and then join the and I look good too, and I'm okay with that, and I can embrace that. Um and really it's so funny. I kid you not, when I tell people my story, I can't tell you how many people are like, "Oh, that's why you're so awesome. You got a fat girl
well,
personality and a skinny body." And I'm like, I earned every bit of this sense of humor because when you're overweight, people don't. You have to earn it. You have to have value because people don't think you know, you're worth knowing or investing in when you look in a way that is unappealing to them. And I think, you know what? Screw that. I
yeah.
hate that so much because a lot of my life was lived that way. But this is why I am who I am. And I really am so grateful for you to give me this opportunity to share what makes me because it's been a long time coming.
Well, I mean, I'm grateful that you chose this forum in my show to actually tell your story because that is something that's so important. You know, it's hard to even communicate about it because it's one of those things that I know for a fact that people out that watch this, that it doesn't matter what you're going through in life, we're all going through something, and when it's a something like a physical, body, something that you you think you might be able to control, but the emotions, what you're going through is just not making it possible for you to really handle it at that point. And I think that's people are judging the wrong thing. They're just judging the body instead of judging what not instead of not judging, but actually viewing the being, the
Yeah.
spiritual being, and saying like, well, where's the pain? And with music, you were able to uh now be able to share this beauty that you have, outside, inside, and your voice with the world to really get people to to value, I mean, it's an amazing story, and I want to thank you for definitely for being for doing this. This is because I know this is not I know this is not easy, and we talked briefly about it, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to do. I think you're so graceful in telling your story as well. You're so articulate in telling your story. So I just want you to know that it was, it we're
I hope
human.
what I really hope happens with this is I hope that it gives people a different perspective of me. Um, Social media is just such a teardrop of what makes us who we are. It is absolutely, it's just, I just think it can fool a lot of people. And I want people to know that I'm a person that has experienced a lot in life. I have had a lot of loss. I've had a lot of challenges. I've overcome and continue to try to overcome. There's more to my story that maybe we can do like a part two, but this one was really important to me because I just want everyone to know I'm just human too, and I love every single person. Every bit of me is genuine, and I have been through it. It's sad to say that I want people to value that I've been through trauma too. But I do think there's something valuable about that because we're not separate. We're not so different. And what makes me valuable and loving and lovable and makes my music good really is the soul that's within me and the trauma that I've lived through and that I've survived. And my real true intent in music is to heal others. I I'm not in this for fame. I'm not in it for anything other than I think that I can help people heal. And that's what I want to do.
Well, you're definitely helped me, uh, and I'm sure that the audience is definitely healing. I mean, um, let's talk a little bit about the future. Let's
Okay.
talk about let's talk about what how how this is going to manifest and how you're going to use this. I think it becomes, and I think you and I once had a meeting. We spoke somewhere, and we talked about the responsibility that we have as artists. Not just to to the art and to those that are watching the art, but to those who are not watching the art, to those who you might come in contact, or those people that did come in contact with your art that then are going to be contacting with others. That's a domino effect that you want to get out there. What do you see yourself, how do you see yourself impacting with your music, and what are some of the plans that you have moving forward now that you've overcome so much and you're able to help so many people now?
I mean, my dreams are pretty lofty. My goals, I will say, they're not just dreams. I do believe that there's a resonance and there's a momentum that's building around me because I'm finally free from a lot of toxicity that I kind of had to experience in order to get here. My goals really are to on a massive level share not only my music but my story, share myself. Um, going back to every gig, every single time I step on a stage in Nashville or anywhere else, I'm thinking to myself, who and how am I going to be able to positively impact in this room? When I'm on breaks, I don't go and sit down. I go and I make face contact with people and I thank them for being there and I ask them where they're from and I want them to know the value in just being present and being a human that's in this room with me. I want them to know and to feel that. And I think as this continues to grow and build, that it's going to only be a wider audience and it's only going to get bigger. And I'm very excited about that because I think I have what it takes to maintain that and to build it and to grow it. And with my songs that are coming now, I have more songs that I'm so excited about. I've just started writing another love song, a dancing song, and a song that makes me feel happy inside. And then I have a song that I've written for my mother about the trauma that she experienced with my father. Like there's a lot of that type of thing that I still have to say, a lot of things I still have to say, and a lot of people to impact. What I want is big time. I want my music everywhere and I want my voice everywhere. Everywhere it can go. I've just experienced this time and again where people just tell me like your voice your voice is special, your voice is unique, your voice is healing and soothing, and I love that. I forgot what else you asked me, but these
No,
my
it's okay. No, it's perfect answer. I mean, you say you think you have what it takes. I say no. I know you have what it takes. You have it. It's no question about it that you're going to be successful and achieve those goals and then some. I one of the. I mean, this might be we might have to do a second part on this, which I would love it.
I would,
Um,
would do.
yeah, when you're out there now in Nashville and you're performing and you're like you said, you go out there and who can you impact, and that that's a responsibility that you have out there. Um, what are some of the challenges that you're currently running into, as opposed to not just the emotional and the any trauma that you're dealing with, but are there any challenges right now in Nashville that anybody that's out there maybe can benefit from knowing that you're a working singer in Nashville? That's not There are not many that can actually say that. So what
It,
can you
well, it's
you
a
know
nice remind. You keep reminding me of that. It's funny because I get kind of tunnel vision, and I forget that I've really have accomplished a lot, and I it's not to say it's not enough, but I need to be reminded that what I've done is great. And I don't take anything for granted ever, but maybe perhaps I am taking that for granted, and I've worked really hard to get to where I am with that. So thank you for the reminders.
Sure, you're
I
welcome.
and I appreciate every moment, every opportunity, every place that I play. It's wonderful. John, I have to say, other than some negativity with certain personalities that I've worked with, I have been very, very protected in this city. I was roofied on New Year's Eve 2 years ago. That was crazy. Luckily, I only drank this much, and I was around friends, and I mean that was an experience I would like to not ever repeat. But I other than that, I haven't experienced a lot of negative things here. I would say the one challenge that I have that I am just every day trying to figure out how to overcome and how to really just beat it is getting my music out there. Social media. So, I played 600 gigs in the last 5 years here in town, full band, fully paid. Um, and I've been very, very successful in that way, but it's not translating online. And the one thing that's very frustrating about that is, I could have so much success here in person, but if I don't have a TikTok hit that goes, that's streamed a billion times, then
Right.
to a lot of the business industry here in Nashville, I'm not worth it to them. And
Right.
so I kind of came to town thinking I would get, a pub deal, and then I would get a little boutique deal, and it would start that way with a little bit of investment. And 6 years later, I'm rethinking that whole strategy. Actually, we're looking for private investment at this point in the career that would a little bit goes a long way. And it would have to be, an investor or investors that saw the potential, that understand the music industry and how one song, one hook can change a life and can change a whole career
Mhm.
trajectory. And then from there, it just goes. And I'm hopeful and are confident that I've built this really stable foundation of I've got a great track record professionally, live music wise with my songs. I have a great, it just everything really is built and ready to go, so that one drop of some money is gonna make this thing go wild. So I'm really excited about that. That's my goal now is money, which I know is everyone's goal. However, um, I think I've got a pretty good product, and I'm a very good business partner. I'll tell you that much. I
Yeah.
want I want to work. I want to be successful, and I'm willing to do what it takes and really do the work. So that makes a lot of the difference here. And also, I'm not a kid. Today is actually my birthday.
So, well, when this drops, it may be a little later, but today is May 7th when we're recording this. So, happy birthday, Amanda Raye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very cool.
I'm very
Cumpleaños feliz. Anyway, that's how my
happy.
my aunt used to sing. Um, so this has been incredible having you here. We definitely have to do this again because there is more business, the business part of it, and those challenges. And I know you have a more on your backstory as well that would be really beneficial for an audience going through those challenges to actually hear and to be able to benefit and to kind of just have somebody you're not alone kind of a viewpoint. So I'd love to have you definitely back again
Let's do
on the
it.
show. And where can people find you? Where can people listen to your music and all that other good jazz?
Wonderful. So if you go online, my Instagram is Miss Amanda Raye, Raye. And you can go on to Facebook, Amanda Raye Music. That's a hoot. We love that. You can go on TikTok and find me. It's Miss Amanda Raye. I don't really know what I'm doing on TikTok, to be honest with you. It's just kind of like one of those things I just try. You can check out my music on any streaming platform. I also have I've got a profile on this site called Even, Even, and I'm dropping new music there first. And Even is a
Hmm.
platform where people can pay whatever they want to listen. They get a 2 week window to listen first, and it's in the hopes that they'll pay more than the 0.00003 cents that the streaming platforms pay. Also, YouTube. I am monetized on YouTube. So if you go on there, subscribe, listen to my music on there, look at my little videos, share them. I would say really, truly, if someone is invested in an artist and really wants to support them, sharing the music, getting it out there and playing it is the best way to do that. Any interaction on Facebook or Instagram, if you like a post, if you share a post, I'm monetized on all these platforms. And so that lets the algorithm know that people are interested, and it truly does go really far. So it's free, and it's fun, and
Yeah.
and it really matters to me too. I let people know when they send me messages, or that they take the time to like, or just anything, that hey, this matters. Showing up to a show is always going to be
Yeah.
my favorite because I love entertaining. I've been told very much so that my act is not only is it great musically, but I also kind of throw some stand-up comedy in there. So I'm funny, I'm goofy, I'm singing. What's not to love? Like, come out to a show. You can check me out. I'm every Wednesday at Alley Taps, downtown Nashville, 8 to midnight. I play Acme downtown a couple of times a month on Thursdays, but check my schedule online. I usually post it on Instagram on my stories or something like that. So love for you guys to come out and see me live.
I love it. I love it. And all those links will be down on wherever this you're watching this, it'll be down there. So you can definitely get that information and check out Amanda Raye. Ladies and gentlemen, please
Thank you.
thank Amanda Raye for being with us. This has just been such a joy for me. Thank you so much. We'll definitely have to do this again. So we will talk very, very soon. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.
Wow. Amanda Raye, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to her for being on. And what a story. I mean, she's, I was in there trying to I was like, I'm very verklempt right now. But what bravery for her to be able to tell her story and then to be able to document and to share it with others. I mean, this is such a tremendous an artist. And please check her out, Amanda Raye. I'll have all the links down there. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you all. I will see you all soon. Take care. God bless you. Take care of yourself and take care of each other, because we're all responsible for each other. And as always, peace.